Imagine one day you open the door of an abandoned warehouse and are immediately hit by an overpowering stench so foul that it's unbearable. Upon closer inspection, you discover two blue metal barrels, and inside are dismembered body parts wrapped tightly in fabric and plastic bags, buried deep in the mud. This was the horrifying scene encountered by a warehouse owner in Osaka Prefecture. The victims were none other than Mr. Kenji Asai and Mrs. Kiyo, an elderly couple who lived in the city of Izumi, Osaka Prefecture. They had once enjoyed a happy and fulfilling life, beloved by those around them. But on a fateful day, they suddenly disappeared. 4 days after their disappearance, the family received a message saying that they were away on a trip, but the couple never returned. Eventually, they were found in a tragic state, dismembered and concealed in two metal barrels. So, what happened to them? Who was behind this heinous crime, and would they be brought to justice for what they had done? In November 2009, a parking lot storage owner received a rental application from a customer who wanted to store goods in one of the warehouses. When he arrived to clean and organize the space for the client, as soon as he rolled up the shutter, he was overwhelmed by the stench of decay. Inside, he was surprised to see a car already parked there, which puzzled him because the warehouse had not been used for a long time, and he couldn't remember when he had last rented it out. Feeling uneasy, he approached the car and found two blue metal barrels in the back, emitting the foul smell. Upon opening the barrels to inspect, he was horrified to find dismembered flesh and bones, which looked like human remains, wrapped meticulously in layers of plastic. Terrified by this gruesome discovery, he immediately called the police. Upon returning to his office, the warehouse owner found a rental contract from 5 years earlier, dated December 7th. A customer had signed a 1-month rental agreement, but after the term expired, the individual did not return the keys and could not be contacted. At that time, the customer had paid over $400 for the rental. Since no one had rented the space afterward, the owner hadn't checked the warehouse and had gradually forgotten about it. Initially, the police did not pay much attention to the report. It wasn't until 2 days later that they sent someone to investigate. That afternoon, upon inspecting the warehouse, the police discovered it was a murder scene. The body parts had been wrapped in fabric and plastic, tightly bound with tape, and buried in sand and mud inside the metal barrels. When the remains were reassembled, they identified two victims, one male and one female, both elderly. Both victims had suffered severe head injuries, and the woman had multiple broken bones. Due to the advanced decomposition of the bodies, the exact cause of death could not be determined at the time, but it was estimated that both had been dead for a long time. The investigation team quickly gathered information from the surrounding area and discovered that residents had reported the foul odor emanating from the parking lot multiple times. According to locals, the parking lot had low activity with few customers, and many of the warehouses had been abandoned for a long period. When checking the license plate of the suspicious car, the police identified the owner as the Asai couple from Izumi City, who had been missing for several years. They suspected that the two bodies found in the barrels might belong to this couple. Later, forensic analysis confirmed that the remains were indeed those of Kenji and Kiyo Asai. Looking back at the missing persons case of Kenji and Kiyo Asai 5 years ago, it is known that they were a wealthy and highly respected couple. Kenji Asai, 74, was the president of a successful textile company, while his wife, Kiyo, 73, was a devoted housewife. The couple had been married for 50 years and lived happily together. Even though their children had grown up and moved out to start their own families, the two remained close and had never had a major argument during their time together. Not only were they known for their wealth, but the Asais were also beloved by the community for their kind and charitable nature. They regularly participated in volunteer activities and helped those in need. Their relationship with their neighbors was also very good. Despite being a business owner, Kenji maintained a hard-working, serious, and meticulous attitude. In 2004, his textile company expanded its business to neighboring cities, further advancing his career. However, just as their lives were becoming better, a shocking tragedy struck. On Saturday, December 4, 2004, Izumi City police in Osaka received a call from a man reporting that his parents, Kenji Asai, 74, and Kiyo Asai, 73, had gone missing. He explained that at 8:30 p.m. the previous night, Friday, December 3rd, his parents had left the house and did not return all night. Early the next morning, he went to their house but found no one there. He then went to his father's company but could not find them there either. When he called both his father and mother, there was no response. While checking his father's office at the company, he found a blood stain. Feeling that something was wrong, he immediately reported it to the police. Upon receiving the report, Izumi City police quickly dispatched an investigation team to the scene. They first went to Kenji Asai's office at the company to collect hair and blood samples, which were sent to the forensic lab for analysis. Then they began interviewing company employees and neighbors to gather information about the couple's activities before their disappearance. At the Asai's home, everything was clean and orderly. There were no stains or suspicious signs on the walls or floors. The furniture was neatly arranged, but in the bedroom, the blankets and bedding were not put away, and the blanket on the bed was wrinkled and not folded. Based on these details and the couple's daily habits, the police continued their investigation. Initially, the police speculated that on the evening of December 3rd, the Asais had left their home in their sleepwear with no intention of being out long. They may have gone to the nearby company. Thus, the police searched places the couple frequented, based on their hobbies and routines. The couple's family also actively participated in the search, visiting places they thought their parents might have gone. At the same time, they sought help from the community by posting pictures of the Asais in newspapers, on television, and on social media, hoping someone might have seen them. However, upon further investigation, the police discovered that the family's car, worth over $6,700, was missing, while cash remained untouched. Additionally, a credit card and 2 Rolex watches valued at approximately $9,400 were also gone. Typically, a thief would take all valuable items, but in the Asai home, only 1 credit card, 2 watches, and a car were missing, while both husband and wife had disappeared. This led the police to suspect that they might have been kidnapped. The investigation team predicted that the criminal might contact them for ransom at any moment. Police were stationed at the Asai family's home and company, ready to wait for the call within 24 hours. However, after many hours of waiting, no call came, and the missing credit card was not used. This caused the police to begin doubting their initial theory of a ransom kidnapping. A day after the missing persons report was filed during a patrol, the police found the stolen car of the Asai family about 20 kilometers from their home. When officers attempted to stop the car, the driver sped off. Eventually, the car disappeared at an intersection. Due to the distance, the police could not see the driver's face clearly. Several local residents provided information to the police, saying they had seen the missing car near the Asai home. Through investigation, police discovered that the car had traveled along Route 26 toward Hannan City, about 23 kilometers away. This raised the question, was this a robbery, or could it be a personal revenge case? Because the Asais were quite famous in the area, especially Kenji, who was the president of a thriving company, it was possible that someone might have been jealous and kidnapped them for revenge. Based on this theory, the police investigated nearly 100 people connected to Kenji Asai's company. However, no results were found, and it seemed that no one had conflicts or disputes with the Asai family. Four days after the Asais disappeared, the family received a message from Kenji's mobile phone, stating that the couple was relaxing at a hot spring and telling their children and grandchildren not to worry. He also explained that the blood stain in the office was from Kiyo's nosebleed. However, when the family called back immediately after, Kenji's phone was turned off. On the same day, the analysis results of the blood and hair samples collected from the company office came back, confirming that all the samples belonged to Kenji and Kiyo. This proved that they had been attacked in the office, but no valuable items were missing. A few days later, the family received another message from Kenji's phone, saying that the couple would return after some time. Based on the investigation, police discovered that their car was still moving around Osaka. The family began to think that their parents were indeed on vacation and felt relieved. However, after that message, there was no further information about the Asais. Everyone believed the couple was traveling, but it wasn't until 5 years later that their children learned the heartbreaking truth, that their parents had been murdered long ago. Police began to suspect the man who had rented the storage unit 5 years earlier. That man was Katsuaki Suzuki, 42, a construction worker in Sakai City, Osaka Prefecture. That afternoon, the investigation team found Suzuki and interrogated him. 5 years earlier, a company in Sennan City, Osaka, had built a new house for the Asai family. Suzuki was working for that company at the time and was responsible for finishing the house. On December 7, 2004, 4 days after the Asai couple went missing, he rented the storage unit, but then stopped contacting the owner and never returned the keys. However, the police didn't yet have clear evidence linking Suzuki to the murder of the Asai couple. Since more than 3 years had passed, the crime of disposing of the bodies was no longer prosecutable. Thus, the police decided to arrest Suzuki on theft charges to control his actions and gather evidence related to the murder of the couple. During interrogation, Suzuki admitted to parking the car in the storage unit, but denied killing the elderly couple or disposing of their bodies. He claimed he knew nothing about the corpses in the metal barrels. The investigation team later found the storage rental contract, a Rolex warranty card, and a blood stain in the trunk of his car. Additionally, when searching Suzuki's residence, police found the storage unit key and a credit card worth over $3,300, along with pawn shop receipts for 2 Rolex watches. Based on the serial numbers on the receipts, the warranty card, and credit card information, police confirmed that the card and watches belonged to the Asai family. Notably, the credit card had not been used since the incident occurred. The 2 watches had been pawned on December 4, 2004, just 2 days after the Asai couple disappeared. The question then arose, how did Suzuki get hold of these items? According to previous information, when the Asai couple disappeared, a corner of the blanket in their bedroom was turned up, and both were wearing sleepwear when they were killed. 4 days after their disappearance, the family received several text messages from Kenji Asai's phone. The police suspected that these messages were sent by the perpetrator to mislead everyone into thinking the couple was still alive. The investigation team also believed that the blood in the office wasn't from a nosebleed, but from the injuries sustained by the two victims. They had been attacked in the office, then taken away and disappeared. The police suspected that Katsuaki Suzuki had broken into the office to steal items, but was caught by the couple when they heard noises and came to check. Upon being discovered, Suzuki became enraged and attacked them. Kiyo fell, hitting her head on the floor, leaving the bloodstain. Kenji was also attacked. After committing the crime, Suzuki dragged both victims to their home, put them in the trunk of his car, and ransacked the house for valuable items. However, in a state of panic, he only took the watches and credit card before fleeing. Despite this, Suzuki continued to deny both theft and murder, claiming that he had only pawned the watches and rented the storage unit at the request of a friend. When asked about this friend, Suzuki evaded the question. A month after his arrest, the blood analysis from the car trunk confirmed that it belonged to Kenji and Kiyo. Fingerprints found on the metal barrels also matched Suzuki's. Faced with undeniable evidence, Suzuki admitted to disposing of the bodies, but maintained that he had not killed them, stating that he had only helped a friend place the bodies in the barrels and bury them. A year later, police gathered more evidence, although the murder weapon was never found. Katsuaki Suzuki was officially charged with murder and theft. On December 24, 2010, in court, prosecutors accused Suzuki of deliberately killing the Asai couple and stealing their property. Suzuki remained silent, refusing to admit to the crime. Although there was no direct evidence, prosecutors presented a chain of circumstantial evidence sufficient to charge Suzuki. But what really happened? Katsuaki Suzuki was born in 1967 in Osaka Prefecture. At 17, he dropped out of high school and left home to live independently. Suzuki worked various manual labor jobs, such as in electrical services and construction. In September 2003, at the age of 36, he began working for a construction company in Izumi City. This company was building a new house for a client, Mr. Kenji Asai. Suzuki, along with other workers, worked in the yard of Mr. Asai's house. Although he often encountered the Asai family, he only exchanged polite greetings. However, after he started working there, the Asai family noticed that a watch valued at nearly $270 went missing, followed by another worth $200, as well as a large sum of cash. Since the house was under construction with many people coming and going, the family had no idea who had taken the items. They made several complaints to the construction company. The owner suspected Suzuki, but he denied the allegations, and without evidence, the company couldn't take any action against him. During this period, Suzuki also kept money from the company that he failed to return. When this was discovered, he was fired. Suzuki was a spendthrift, unable to manage his finances, and often found himself in debt. By the end of 2004, at the age of 37, he had accumulated thousands of dollars in debt. To repay his debts, Suzuki targeted Mr. Kenji Asai's textile company for theft. On the night of the crime, he snuck into Mr. Asai's office, but was caught in the act, and in a panic, he killed the couple before fleeing. 9 years later, the case went to trial at the Osaka court. Suzuki was charged with murder and theft. In court, he admitted to participating in the theft and disposing of the bodies, but denied murdering the couple. The prosecutor argued that the friend Suzuki mentioned didn't exist and was just a fabrication to avoid responsibility. After a month-long trial, the court sentenced Suzuki to death for murder and other crimes. He appealed multiple times, but the Supreme Court upheld the original sentence, Suzuki spent his final days imprisoned in Osaka. Katsuaki Suzuki's case serves as a stark warning about the moral decay among certain segments of youth, those who live recklessly, lazily, and become trapped in cycles of gambling and debt, unable to manage their lives and finances. Suzuki, once a worker with a stable job, spiraled into debt because he couldn't control his material desires and extravagant spending habits. When he hit rock bottom, he didn't hesitate to resort to crime, stealing, and even committing murder to escape the pressures of debt. This case clearly shows how laziness and a lack of personal and social responsibility can lead individuals down a path of criminality. What is even more tragic is that not only did Suzuki pay for his actions with his own life, but innocent people like the Asai couple had to suffer a terrible fate as well. This case also reminds us of the importance of being vigilant against potential dangers in life. When faced with a thief or other dangerous situations, staying calm and seeking help from authorities is the smart way to handle it, avoiding placing oneself in harm's way. Confronting a situation head-on can lead to unforeseen consequences. Finally, educating the younger generation about living responsibly, managing their finances, and resisting temptation is a crucial task that cannot be overlooked. This is the key to preventing similar tragedies in the future and building a safer